What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. We got Studio, we got Juan, we got John. What's up, y'all? Appreciate you guys for being here. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up the like button on your way in. Do it for the algorithm. Appreciate you guys for being here. This is most likely going to be a smaller, abbreviated podcast. I usually go for about 45 to an hour, but yesterday, I don't know what the heck happened, but I just had some crazy sore throat that ended up happening last night. Now it's starting to feel a little bit better, but you could still kind of feel that it's there. So it's probably going to be a smaller, abbreviated version. I got to get better because obviously we're going to be doing a lot of things for the Arizona Cardinals tomorrow. So hopefully my throat gets better, but we're going to be doing a small abbreviated version podcast today, talking all things to kind of keep you guys updated on what's going on. Are the Cardinals going to be playing? If they are, are the starters going to be playing? If they're not, what to expect, right? Those type of things. And we saw a lot of cool things after the joint practice as well. We ended up seeing Mark Dalton, which I believe he is the SVP slash media relations for the Arizona Cardinals. Ended up posting some real cool pictures yesterday with Kyler Murray and Torey Lovello. You don't know who that is? That's the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, which they were currently in Colorado over there. So he ended up stopping by and obviously checking out the joint practice. You ended up seeing Peyton Manning chopping it up with Kyler Murray. And you also saw Marvin Harrison Jr. with Peyton Manning as well. So overall, really cool. These are the type of things that you really like to see, right? Especially with these joint practices out there. Like you like to see like legends, right? You like to see legends talk to current players to kind of give them a little bit of an insight as to like, what they can do, right? Maybe give them a tip or two on their the official Instagram page on the Arizona Cardinals Instagram page. We ended up seeing Peyton Manning speaking to Kyler Murray, and everybody in the comments are saying, like, I hope he just gives them the best advice they possibly can, right? Because this is a big year for Kyler Murray, and I think he knows that as well as a lot of the fan base. So hopefully expecting good things moving forward, fingers crossed. But today we're really going to be diving into, are the Arizona Cardinals going to be playing their starters in week 2? Now, we did hear from Sean Payton after the joint practice yesterday, and he actually kind of was really excited about this joint practice with the Arizona Cardinals. He actually labeled it one of the best joint practices he's had. Now, we're going to be diving into exactly what he said here in a little bit, but let's first talk about a tweet or a post that we ended up seeing yesterday that kind of got me to, I guess, get to the point where I'm like, okay, it might be the battle of the backups. Now, we didn't hear officially from Jonathan Gannon. We're really going based off of what Sean Payton ended up saying, but we ended up seeing this tweet earlier yesterday saying this: Broncos head coach Sean Payton said that the Cardinals largely won't play starters on Saturday. Will be a handful of starting guys that get a few reps, but the lines, corners, receivers, QBs won't play. Then the starters will play 8 to 10 snaps versus New Orleans next week. So that bottom part is more to do with the Denver Broncos. But just that first 2 sentences on there, Sean Payton's coming out pretty much kind of giving us a little bit of insight, telling us that maybe him and Jonathan Gannon already spoke about it, right? Because obviously there's a lot of communication between the two because of the joint practice. It almost kind of feels like there's not going to be any starters starting for the Arizona Cardinals in week 2. Now, if you keep reading into this, it does say will be a handful of starting guys that get a few snaps. So maybe we're going to see Akeem Davis-Gaither on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe you'll see Max Melton on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe you'll see some guys that want to get more reps. Maybe you'll start seeing some guys that Jonathan Gannon wants to see a little bit more out of. Like, let's say, for example, in week 1, our special teams weren't the best, right? But they weren't the best. So maybe we're going to be living in a world where, we're going to be seeing Greg Dortch, return punts. We're going to be seeing DJ Dallas return punts, right? Maybe we're going to be seeing something like that. So there will be a quote unquote handful of starters starting, but it definitely feels like Kyler Murray will not be starting in week 2 versus the Denver Broncos in the week 2 matchup versus the Denver Broncos in preseason. So let's dive right into what Sean Payton ended up having to say about this year's practice. And overall, I thought it was pretty darn good. I think there's some people that were kind of upset because they're like, "Oh, there's conflicting reports coming out there about, what I'm saying compared to what other people are saying." Please keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that I never ever said the Arizona Cardinals look like dog water. All I said was that the Arizona Cardinals played good or had flashes, but what team actually outshined them was the Denver Broncos, right? At the end of the day, but I do believe that there was really good work being put in week 2 of joint practice versus the Denver Broncos, and I'm actually really excited to see what happens here in week 2. But let's dive right into what Sean Payton ended up having to say about this week's joint practice with Jonathan Gannon and crew.
Just relative to the tempo, the communication. Um, I can't think, it's probably my 12th joint practice, but one of the better ones. There's going to be, like I said a week ago, a lot of tape, a lot of good things, a lot of things we got to clean up. And, but, that's how you get better. So overall, I was pleased with it. I know Jonathan was as well.
So yeah, there you go. He was pleased with the joint practice. He had over 12 of them. He said, and this is probably one of the better ones. He said, it's probably just between communication with the Arizona Cardinals organization and then himself as well. He also did elaborate a little after this clip that I ended up having here, saying that he has a lot of ties with the Bidwells. Right, he used to be the ball boy for the Bidwells at one point when he was a lot younger. So he likes the Bidwells. He likes the organization of the Cardinals and exactly what he you know has had interactions with the Cardinals. So is that something where he's trying to butter up the Cardinals? Who knows? But it's kind of cool to hear that Jonathan Gannon and Sean Payton both kind of got exactly what they're looking for in this year's practice, because believe it or not, there's a lot of coaches that truly believe that joint practices hold a lot more weight than these preseason games, right? And now, of course, we all heard the rumors that a lot of these owners want to get 18 games compared to 17 games that we currently have right now. Maybe we live in a world where the preseason games no longer exist. Maybe joint practices are going to be more of a thing moving forward. We don't know exactly how that's going to shake out, but sorry, throat's hurting. But Sean Payton also did mention the fact that the communication between him and Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray, Sean and Peyton Manning were talking, and I believe Sean Payton also went up to them. So a couple reporters ended up asking Sean Payton about Kyler Murray, and this is exactly what Sean Payton had to say about Kyler.
Manning, not asking you what was said in this conversation.
No, just, it's funny because you evaluate him. Kyler's from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My son, they're, 4 years difference, but, Connor, who went to TCU, watched him play his high school games. I remember meeting his parents at a sandwich shop at the Combine. And then this is the answer you hate to hear when I say how many years, and then he tells you, and you're like, ah.
So I think it's just a friendly conversation, right? Just a friendly conversation. Good things overall about his parents, and he's not trying to age himself at the end of the day, right? So, Sean Payton is a very, very interesting character slash coach. You can tell like when he speaks very, very like long, right? He speaks very, very long. And it's funny because I was looking at the 37-minute interview that he ended up having after practice, and most everybody in the comments, all Broncos fans, ended up saying, "Oh, this is the longest interview we ended up having." So it kind of leads me to believe that he's usually very short with the media, but maybe he's just kind of happy, right? He left off on a good note with this practice, and he's very, very excited what Bo Nix can do, because Bo Nix really looked good against our Arizona Cardinals secondary. And Bo Nix, they said that this is one of his best practices on the Arizona Cardinal defense. Now, please keep in mind, you really do not need to look too much into that saying, because at the end of the day, it's so hard to evaluate the defense because you cannot sack a opposing quarterback in these joint practices, right? You can't go full 110% because you can't touch their quarterback. So I think overall there was a lot of glowing remarks about the Arizona Cardinals defense, but a lot of glowing remarks about the Arizona Cardinals offensive line as the practice ended up going, right? So all things are leading towards the Arizona Cardinals most likely will not be playing their starters, maybe a couple here sprinkled in, but we might be living in a world where we're probably going to be dealing with the backups. Backups playing a lot more than anything, which honestly, at the end of the day, it's not going to be that bad. I'm excited to see what Jacoby Brissett can do. I'm excited to see what Xavier Weaver can do, what Jordan Burch can do. I mean, we've seen a lot of great games from a lot of these young guys that are going to try to find some spots, in the 53-man roster. Now, looking at what week 1 ended up having to deal with, the Broncos also had a joint practice with the San Francisco 49ers because they were their week 1 preseason opponent, and most people are saying that the Arizona Cardinals were a lot better than the 49ers. So for what it's worth, if you want to take anything away, the Arizona Cardinals held up better against arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL. So that's cool, right? If you want to take something away, that's actually really, really cool to take something away because at the end of the day, the Denver Broncos are going to be a good team, right? They're going to be a good team. They were a possession away from beating the Chiefs. And unfortunately, they couldn't do it. But they also did have a rookie quarterback. So there's a lot of expectations about the Denver Broncos heading into this year. But there's a lot of expectations about the Arizona Cardinals heading into this year as well because of everything that's happening in the NFC West, all the upgrades that we ended up having in the Cardinals defense. There's just the trajectory is saying that the Cardinals are going to be a lot better, right? That they're going to be a lot better. So as of right now, good things ahead, man. Good things ahead. Now, I did take some a tweet here, or I guess a post is what they're called now, no longer tweets, that I want to kind of dive into because, of course, when you're not there in practice, you kind of have to piece together multiple different reports and seeing exactly what people are saying out there and exactly how I described it in my last video that absolutely went crazy. So I appreciate you guys for obviously watching and subscribing if you're new here and smacking the like button. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It definitely helps out a lot. We're on the road to 18K. Like this channel within this last couple of weeks has gone absolutely crazy in the amount of views. I'm not sure if it's because of the Broncos, fandom coming over to kind of check in what the Cardinals perspective is. I don't know, but it's really cool to see. So I appreciate your guys' support up and foremost. But yeah, let's dive into this tweet that I ended up seeing here from Josh Weinfuss of ESPN. And if you're just joining in, I did mention a little earlier in the stream that this might be a smaller, abbreviated version of a podcast because yesterday, for some reason, I just developed a real bad sore throat, and it still kind of hurts right now. It's a lot better than last night, but it's still kind of lingering. So I'm going to try to save my voice. I don't want to lose my voice, especially for tomorrow. So we're going to be doing our best to make this a smaller, abbreviated version. But I wanted to go ahead and highlight this specific post here from Josh Weinfuss of ESPN, basically breaking down exactly what he saw, right? Now, I feel like this is one of the best recaps that I ended up seeing online. And another shout out here to my guy Theo Mackey, which I'm trying to get on a specific podcast because he was there with his own eyes, boots on the ground, and I want to kind of get his perspective of everything right at the end of the day. But I never once said the Arizona Cardinals didn't look or that they looked bad because they didn't, right? I just felt like per the reports that the Broncos might have outshined them a little bit, right? So let's dive right into exactly what Josh Weinfuss ended up having to say yesterday when he recapped what he saw when he was there in joint practice yesterday. So let's go and dive right into it. Let's first go ahead and start off with that very first line. First, it was hot, like hot. Definitely tested the Cardinals. Now, I'm not sure if you guys ended up catching my last video that I just posted. Another shout out here to my guy Ben from Denver Sports Talk. Cool guy, man. Super down to earth. Really cool guy. He's expecting very, very big things from his Denver Broncos, but he himself said it as well. Like, there is a lot of humidity in the air. There is probably a current I think there's like a fire going or current situation with the weather right now. So it was very, very hot. Like the weather did not help the circumstances because when you think of Denver, especially during this time, you think, oh, beautiful weather, right? Not during that day. It was really, really hot. And Josh Weinfuss basically, you know, collaborated and agrees that it was a very, very hot day. Now, let's move on to the next point. So the matchup of the day was undoubtedly Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Patrick Surtain II. It didn't disappoint when it happened. The two squared off only a handful of times. Harrison went in motion quite a bit, and Surtain, who traveled with receivers during the season, didn't follow. Harrison also lined up in the slot on a good number of snaps, but Surtain didn't defend Harrison there. So that's kind of interesting, right? A couple different things to obviously note with that. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get moved. There's going to be motion in this offense. When last year there was no motion and literally Marvin Harrison Jr. was only on the outside, we're going to probably be seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. be moved a lot in this offense now, being used in the slot, being used on the outside. It it's just a breath of fresh air. It's a breath of fresh air to see that Drew Petzing is evolving this offense that is mainly a run-based offense and trying to say, okay, what am I going to do to try to get the ball in the hand of our number one wide receiver, right? Now, of course, number one pass catcher is still going to be Trey McBride. Kyler loves Trey. It's a safety blanket back there, but they're trying everything they can to get the ball in the hand of their best wide receiver, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. So there was a catch for Marvin Harrison Jr. on Patrick Surtain. Oh, sorry, Patrick Surtain. And then this is the next point I want to go ahead and talk about. He says on one route against Surtain, Harrison caught a pass during an out route. On another, quarterback Kyler Murray threw it too high to Harrison. And I did see a tweet about this as well that I believe this was like a red zone rep where the ball was just complete. I think it was trying to be a fade route. I think it's what it was trying to go for, and the ball was just kind of sailed over Marvin Harrison Jr.'s head. But for the most part, what we're hearing, just because he didn't get a lot of catches on Patrick Surtain, he did get involved and make catches out there, right? So he was very, very involved. Now, who was dominant? That was Trey McBride. Trey McBride was dominant, right? When it comes down to the Arizona Cardinals offense, I feel like they did good. I wouldn't say the whole offense was dominant, but I think at the end of the day, Trey McBride was dominant, right? Big difference there. Let's move on to the next one. Murray had a number of passes that were either going too high or overthrew the receiver. So this is kind of something that obviously needs to get work done. I think Kyler Murray is still trying to find the rhythm, right? At least per this point. We've seen this a couple different times in training camp as well, but we'll see, right? This is one of the main reasons why I would love to see Kyler Murray play at least a drive or two in preseason, but who knows what happens in week 3, right? It seems like the Broncos might be using their starters in week 3, but they're going through joint practices left and right. The Cardinals only have one joint practice, and that's with the Denver Broncos. So it's different for every single team. Let's move on to the next one. This is talking about Kyler Murray as well. He had one beautiful throw to Harrison on a back shoulder fade. The two also connected on a few crossing routes towards the end of practice, but they did not connect much besides that. The only other guy that I heard that actually had a pretty good day was Zay Jones, and he's got that point right down there as well. But let's continue, right? Let's continue. The start of practice was tight, and Trey McBride. I had Trey McBride down for 7 catches, but it might be more than that. He was a matchup nightmare for the Broncos secondary, potentially an omen of what's to come. One play, the pocket broke down, and Murray had to scramble to his right and found wide open tight end Trey McBride downfield. McBride was so wide open that he threw his hands in the air to celebrate before the ball arrived. If I was in the game, he would have scored. So if this was the game, he would have scored easily. Move on to the next point. Zay Jones had another good practice as he continued his solid training camp. I had him down for 2 catches, but he may have only had one. Including that, he was right down the seam of the Broncos secondary. Surtain broke up one target to Jones. Murray caught up with a former Cardinals teammate, Zach Allen, and Trent Sherfield, Sr. So this is the best breakdown that I've seen in terms of like what people have seen when they were boots on the ground, right? When they were boots on the ground. Now, Theo Mackey, like I said, another shout out to him. He ended up having stats. Yes, stats. Yeah. People are keeping track of stats. And shout out to him. He ended up putting this out. He says, by my count, and I could have missed a throw or two, Kyler Murray was 15 of 28 on 11-11s today. He was 15 of 28 on 11-11s today. Talking about yesterday. 7 of 9 to McBride, 4 of 8 to Marvin Harrison Jr. Started 0 and 3 targeting Marvin Harrison Jr., but bounced back with some good connections later in practice. So the connection is, let's get this ball to your best guys, right? Marv and Trey. Those are your best guys right now. Now, one thing that's concerning me, if I'm going to be real, is it almost feels like this offense is just them. And here's the thing, right? They are your 2 best pass catchers, and you got to throw the ball to them, right? But what if we live in a world where we're playing a defense that's really, really good? I'm not seeing a lot of reps going over to Michael Wilson. And although I agree that Zay Jones most likely is going to be our number 3 guy, I'm not seeing a lot of reps go to Zay Jones either. Unless Marvin Harrison Jr. is not on the field, Zay Jones is not getting the ball as much. So am I a little concerned that this offense is just locking on 2 targets from the receiving standpoint of it all? A little bit. A little bit. I'm a little concerned. Now, like I said, right? The concern comes from a fan that panics so much and likes to think of weeks ahead, right? Years ahead, months ahead, right? So this is coming from a fan that panics a lot. So take that for what it's worth. I would love to see a little bit more of a connection, right? I would love to see a little bit more of a connection between Kyler and Michael Wilson and Kyler and Zay Jones a little bit more without having to be the main focus of I'm getting the ball over to Marv and Trey and nobody else exists, right? Now, of course, we got a good run game in James Conner. Trey Benson's going to go crazy. I could already feel it. It's going to be amazing this year. But I need that ball to be distributed in a way that this offense can function and be called a balanced offense, right? Because although I might be nitpicking at things, and I might be, right? That's fine. I might be nitpicking at things. This offense is going to flourish a lot better when we do get them involved. And this is not just one practice, ladies and gentlemen. No, not at all. This is not just one practice that it's like, oh, they didn't target Michael Wilson very much, or they didn't target, Zay Jones very much. No, this has been happening all training camp long. And I've been to multiple training camps with the exception of 2 of them, right? Because I was out of town. So I don't understand why that's not really being talked about very much, right? Why we're not getting the ball to these other guys as much. So I'm going to be paying attention very, very closely to that if they do get more involved as obviously preseason and the regular season comes around. That's definitely going to be something that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on for sure. Like I said, am I nitpicking? Maybe, right? Did the Arizona Cardinals look good in the joint practice yesterday? They did. They did. I wouldn't say the whole offense was dominant, but I do think that they took a lot away from a really good defense, right? I think they took a lot away from a really good defense. And they showed up very well. They did so much better than the San Francisco 49ers. So much better than the San Francisco 49ers for what it's worth, right? For what it's worth. So I think right now, we just going to have to wait, right? We just going to have to wait. Now, continuing to talk about what we talked about a little earlier, are the Arizona Cardinals going to be sitting their starters? Well, per this tweet, what Sean Payton ended up having to say, kind of feels like it. Kind of feels like it. There's going to be a sprinkle of starters starting, but for the most part, at least per this tweet, QBs won't play, receivers won't play, corners won't play, lines won't play. So it's going to be fascinating to see how week 2 shakes out against the Denver Broncos. This is such a good defense that I would have loved real-time reps against a very, very good defense. Now, of course, Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray Jonathan Gannon and Sean Payton probably already talked about it, right? They already came to terms that they're probably not going to start their guys, but I would have loved it, man. I feel like it would have been very, very beneficial. But here's the thing. It doesn't mean that we can't be excited. It doesn't mean that the Arizona Cardinals won't be having a good game. If Kyler doesn't play, guess what? We're seeing a lot of more of Jacoby Brissett. Does he play a quarter? Does he move it on over to Clayton Tune, where Clayton Tune takes the rest? We're not talking about second quarter and the rest of the second half. Maybe, right? We're going to be seeing Amari DeMarcado, DJ Dallas, Knight, the running back that I had a hard time finding his first name. Maybe, right? Here's an opportunity, though, right, for Xavier Weaver to really kind of show out. Because right now, Zay Jones is that number one guy for the 3 position, right? For the number 3 wide receiver, Zay Jones is the number 1 guy. If Xavier Weaver continues to wreak havoc and do a really good job, hey, that could be a real possibility there, right? Sneak in to the 53, although he was in here last year. We'll have to kind of wait and see. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. The defense, a player that I'm really excited to see, Jordan Burch, man. Jordan Burch and Xavier Thomas. Give me more of them. Give me more of them. I'm excited to see what they can do, especially Jordan Burch. This guy looked crazy good in week 1. I ended up having a breakdown, which the NFL's been very, very sticklers on these breakdowns because they recognize all 22 film, and they like to copyright you left and right. And guess what? I got copyrighted. So we're gonna have to find another way to do breakdowns of these games. But Jordan Burch had himself a freaking day, man. He really did. I'm excited about him. LJ Collier, Some people might say he's a fringe guy. Is he going to make the 53 or is he not? He played pretty well. He was playing against the 3s and 4s though, so for what it's worth, but he looked pretty dominant. Cody Simon. Is Cody Simon going to have a bigger role? Maybe, right? This is the time where you really got to take a look at your young talent and see what they could put on tape. They got to fight for this 53, man. They're going to fight for this 53. So we'll see. BA in the chat says Kyler doesn't need to sit. I mean, here's the thing. What I'm looking for is a drive or two. That's it. But now, obviously, it's Jonathan Gannon's decision, right? If he feels like he already seen enough in the joint practice and in week 1, it's his decision at the end of the day, right? We got my guy K1 Prod on the other side of the coin. Keep Kyler Murray healthy. Don't play him. That's fair. I get both sides of the coin. I'm just trying to be prepared for week 1 because we're going against a team that we absolutely need to beat. No doubt about it. The Saints are a team that you should beat. The Panthers, I get it. They usually always beat us. There's something about the dang Panthers that we just cannot get over the hump. Doesn't matter who's that quarterback, Bryce Young or Cam Newton off the street. It doesn't matter. We can't beat them. But we have a real possibility of starting off 2-0. And guess what? Week 3, we got the San Francisco 49ers. They don't have Brandon Ayuk. They don't have a lot of their wide receiving core that they expect to have, right? Is Jawan Jennings looking for a new contract? Is he going to hold out? Is Ricky Pearsall going to be able to stay healthy? Or are they going to run this offense mainly through one weapon, and that's McCaffrey? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. But we got a very favorable stretch in weeks 1, 2, and 3. And week 4, I guess really depending on how the Seahawks look with Sam Darnold, it can be very favorable matchups in the first 4 weeks, right? We all know the gauntlet that we have to endure in the end of the season. We all know what it has to be, right? And it's a tough one, a tough gauntlet. But we got to take care of what we can take care of. And if Kyler Murray can take us to a 2-0 start, 3-0 start, it would be a really good start to the 2025 season. Very, very good start. Steven in the chat says Birch was on fire. Saints are horrible. They are. Absolutely. Uncanny says Jordan was a running back and a wide receiver in high school through college. Raw at linebacker, but loaded upside. Are you talking about Jordan Birch? I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know that. Thank you. Lorenzo in the chat says, great to hear others give a different story of what is going on in Denver. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to kind of have to, if you're listening to one person, right, and that one person is me, I highly recommend you go elsewhere too, right? Like, listen into different people's opinions, right? Absolutely. Highly encourage it. Me, if it was up to me, I would love to see the Arizona Cardinals starters for a drive or two, maybe just one drive, especially if it's a touchdown drive on a really good defense. I would love to see it, but it's not my decision at the end of the day, right? Some people are on the side of my guy K1 Prod here, right? Then they just wants to be cautious. I respect it. Overall, I just want to make sure we take care of business in week 1. That's what I'm really, really looking forward to. Let's keep reading the chat here. Appreciate you guys for being here, by the way. Cole in the chat says, no, we're definitely starting off 2-0. Love to see it. Love to see the confidence. That's great. I mean, this is the very first time I think a lot of Cardinal fans have a lot of confidence. A lot of confidence we have. And we should. We absolutely should. This team, on paper, defensively, can be very, very dangerous if they can stay healthy, right? I know some people are saying top 10, some people are saying top 5. I don't want to put a ranking on this defense, but on paper, they're a very, very good defense. A massive upgrade since last year. And we don't have to really lean on our offense to always win us games. Offense is going to look bad a game or two, right? Or a few games. We don't know. Maybe the defense can come out here and give us some sort of help to help us win games. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Dakota in the chat says, use the 4 training camps. Also now 3 training camps. Preseason game number 2, additions for the roster spots and depth for trade bait. I wonder, do we have trade bait, do you think? I don't think We just got Will Hernandez, but there's no way the Cardinals are trading Will Hernandez, right? He is starting on the PUP list, so I'm not even thinking he's going to start week 1 for the Cardinals, but he's such a great depth when he's healthy, right? If Brown starts off really good and Isaiah Adams starts off really good, having Will Hernandez there as a depth piece is so darn crucial. So darn crucial, right? I'm not sure if you noticed, but the Chargers, they're losing a lot of their offensive tackle or their linemen. The Saints are losing a lot of their offensive linemen. If you guys didn't know that, yeah, the Saints have, I think, a couple guys out. One out for the season for sure, and the other one most likely is going to be missing week 1 of the regular season. So it's rough out there right now for the Saints. It's rough out there right now for the Saints. The Honey Badger just retired, so you're not going to have his dominance back there. But yeah, Will Clapp. Will Clapp. That's who it is. He's the one that's done for the season, I believe. And I think Trevor Penning might be the other one. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's questionable. Yeah, he's expected to miss a few weeks with the foot injury he sustained. So, yeah. Trevor Penning, one of their offensive tackles. And then their center, done for the season. So yeah, it's tough right now for the for the Saints. Cardinals defensive line should be eaten. They should eat, but we'll see. K1 in the chat. My prediction is 11-6 if we stay healthy. I like that. I like if we stay healthy. I love that. Do we know anything about the new Roy guy we just got off waivers? Not really. The only thing that I kind of noticed about him is that he spent 3 years with 3 different teams, right? And the Cardinals probably brought him in because of Christian Jones. Supposed to be a good depth piece for the Cardinals, but he got hurt. And Jonathan Gannon said he's going to miss time. So if he's going to miss time, what does that mean? Is he going to IR? I mean, we don't know, right? But Christian Jones not being there, they're going to have to bring in somebody else. And I think that's one of the main reasons why he was brought in. So, yeah, Roy Bibatica? I'm most likely butchered his name, but yeah, he's most likely a depth piece for the Cardinals. Let's read one more comment, and we're going to be closing up shop. I know for the people that are just joining in, you're probably wondering, what the heck? Why are we closed? Only a 30-minute point. Yesterday, for some reason, I got this really crazy, gnarly sore throat. I don't know what the heck happened. It feels better now compared to last night, but I gotta rest the voice and hopefully get ready for tomorrow when the preseason game starts against Denver. So that's why it's going to be a smaller, abbreviated version of a podcast today. But let me get to my guy, Cole. What's up, Cole? Last few years, our week 1 game was versus the Bills, Titans, etc. We finally have an easy week 1. Time to build some momentum. Love to see it. Love to see it. Mario. Ooh, man, where have you been? My goodness. It's been a bit. What's up, buddy? Honestly, I want to say we have a good season, but do we really trust K1? Honestly, right now, all we can do is go in with the fresh eyes and believe. That's all we can do right now. That's all we can do. If we're at the end of the season and we're still questioning, then at that point, we'll figure it out from there. But as of right now, all we can do is sit back and see what happens with our Arizona Cardinals. That's it. All right. Huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, My Valley Prince. A quick break from them.
Yo, Red Sea, you know how we rep the Cards with pride every Sunday, so why not rep your own squad the same way? Whether it's your business, your team, or your crew, My Valley Prints has you covered with custom screen prints and embroidery right here in the desert. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, you name it. From clean logos to bold game day drip, they'll make your vision look like a first-round pick. Local, reliable, and always bringing that Cardinal level energy. Hit up myvalleyprints@yahoo.com or DM them via Instagram to get your gear started. My Valley Prints, built for the Valley, designed for you.
Another shout out here to My Valley Prince. Appreciate you for sponsoring the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. And we just got a banger of a donation. Banger. $10 donation coming our way from Not Mario. What's up, man? Another shout out to you. I know it's been rough these past couple years, but I'm glad you're back, buddy. I'm glad you're back. Says, keep the grind up, man. Hashtag let's go Cardinals. Absolutely. Thank you so very much for the $10 donation. I'm going to do my best to try to rest this throat up, which right now I have no idea why I have a sore throat, but it happened yesterday. So I'm going to try my best to go and rest this up and get ready for tomorrow. Hopefully I have a voice tomorrow, but fingers crossed that it all works out for us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be closing up shop right here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Every single one of you guys who smacked the like button, subscribe, not Mario with the super chat at the end of the stream. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Everybody who's actually watched the most recent videos, you guys are the real MVP. Appreciate y'all. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Cardinals.